Then, then there was the regulator, the Office of Federal Housing Enterprise, overseeing it was non-factor woefully underfunded, dependent on Fannie and Freddie for information and regulatory trusted by Fannie's congressional allies. On the rare occasions it tried to assert itself, Fannie's capital requirements were minimal. Its leverage was sky-high, over 62.21. Its earnings were growing steadily, while its stock rose tenfold during the decade. Fannie's executives, their compensation they tied to the company's earning goals got very rich. It still had critics, of course, but it had proven time and again that it could squat them away like an irritating fly, which perhaps explained why, not long after becoming CEO, Reines met with some of the company's investors and laid out an extraordinary target. He felt confident, he said, that the company could double its earnings per share over the next 5 years from 3.23 dollars to 6.46 dollars. That number become a kind of mantra within Fannie Mae. Even its chief international auditors, who is supposed to be immune to earnings concert, once told his troops, by now every one of you must have 6.46 branded in your brains. You must be able to say it in your sleep. You must be able to recite it forwards and backwards. You must have a raging fire in your belly that burns away all doubts. You must live, breathe, and dream. 6.46. After all, thanks to Frank, we all have a lot of money reading on it. In retrospect, it is hard to see this target has anything but hubris. For all their power, the US's business model was serious constrained, being a government sponsored enterprise had a few minutes as well as pluses. One of the major drawbacks was that Fannie and Freddie's charters prevent them from diversifying into other business. The only business they could be in was the one they already dominated, the secondary market for home mortgage. And with the rate of home homeownership approving 68% and an all-time high, how much could that market really grow? A former Fannie executive recalls that after Reines announced his new target, all the vice president in the company looked at each other and sighed. How is this going to work? In truth, the only way Fannie Mae could continue its rapid growth was to keep expanding its controversial mortgage portfolio. As you recall, there was no particularly good housing reason for Fannie Mae to have such a gargantuan portfolio, especially in good times when there were plenty of buyers of mortgage and mortgage banking securities. In bad times. An argument could be made that it was important for Fannie and Freddie to buy a mortgage to keep the mortgage market going since the financial crisis. In fact, that is precisely what they have been doing. Fannie's critical were mainly worried about the interest rate risk in the portfolio, and the more the portfolio grew, the more the fears were as well. The hit that risk Fannie and Freddie were hook buyers of derivatives with legally um, the biggest in the country, but heads don't always work, and critics feared that if there was an abrupt shift in interest rates and Fannie began taking big losses, the taxpayers would be the ones picking up the tab. After all, Fannie had come close to the brink many years earlier before David Maxwell saved the company. If there was one thing Reines had inherited from Jim Johnson, it was a pugnacious attitude toward anyone who dared criticize Fannie Mae. Indeed, it sometimes seemed as if he were trying to outdo his predecessor. I think Frank's fear was that he couldn't be taught enough and he overcompensates, says a former Fanny executive. For his part, Reines would later say, "We never had any illusion at Fanny that we were all powerful. If we were all powerful, we wouldn't have to fight too many battles. All day, every day, we felt basic. Has Fanny me really did become besieged, so did the ferocity of Fanny's response to the company and the country ultimate detriment. The first rail shot across Fanny's bow during the Reines era came even before the Bush administration took office. Toward the tail end of Clinton's second term, Richard Baker, a Republican congressman from Louisiana and a longtime critic of the GSES, introduces a GSET reform bill.